Hi, welcome back to Parks of the Wrestling Center review and the greatest day in the history of our sport.
Yes. Stopped on Macaulay Culkin. He was they randomly showed him. I was like, they didn't know, and he made a reference to Home Alone.
I didn't even realize Home Alone was out that long.
Yeah.
When did the first one come out? 90? 91?
Maybe like 89.
Really?
Might have been, yeah.
Wow! I used to watch that movie when I was a kid. And I would think...
The ironic thing is, Donald Trump does a cameo in the second one. I believe that's what I was trying to say in the first.
That's what it was, yeah.
Donald Trump made a cameo in the second one, and you have two of the stars of Home Alone 2 at ringside.
And for those of you who don't know who Donald Trump currently is, he is currently a WWE Hall of Fame.
Yes.
He does something else, don't forget.
Yeah, I think he's just president of the United States.
So he does nothing?
Yes.
Okay,
Alright, well anyway, getting back to the Nasty Boys and the Hart Foundation.
Besides bringing us together in their career.
I thought this was a very, very solid match. The Hart Foundation, Jimmy Hart gets involved. I believe it's Bret that knocks off Jimmy Hart from the apron. There's a little bit of a scramble between all four men. The Harts hit the heart attack, and the ref gets distracted by Bret. Jimmy Hart recovers and throws in a helmet. He was actually wearing a helmet the entire time. He throws in the helmet, and it was Jerry Saggs caught and hits net her over the head while he's pinning Knobs. Knobs rolls over, gets the pin in about 12 minutes. It was a very good match. Oddly, it's the last we'll see from the Hart Foundation. It's one of their last matches together.
Right.
It's definitely their last match at Mania. Bret would go on to have a singles career and then not do much else. That's a joke, people. Calm down. However, it is in fact Neil Hart's last Mania match. I ended up giving the match a B+. I thought it was very strong, and sets up the Nasty Boys nicely for the future of the tag division.
5 matches by Babe, but people are still alive. Oh, in the whole match on 6. I just realized I was Crush wrestling for Demolition, not X.
Yeah.
So it's 5 matches on 6. Later on in the night.
We then now get a video package for the feud for Jake Roberts and Rick Martel. Essentially, the feud started because Rick Martel blinded Jake the Snake with arrogance.
That's just perfect.
And we get a cool shot of Jake with like white eyes because he's blind. However, we come to a very interesting match in WrestleMania history. It's the blindfold match. Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick the Model Martel. We start off with... they're literally putting the blindfolds on both of them. And this is the first time I noticed this, but on Jake the Snake, he sticks his hand up to I guess, rub his eyes through, like, the blindfold and, I guess, bag. You can actually literally see his hand on the other side, like, rubbing his eye. So it sort of ruined the illusion if you're paying attention.
Right, yeah.
So in fact is, those bitches can see.
Really?
They can see the entire time.
Oh, wow.
But it's a very interesting match, to say the least. There's almost 90% of the match with absolutely no contact between the performers whatsoever. There's just a lot of Jake trying to point where at random spots in the ring to find where Rick the Model is, and Rick and the Model trying to do the same, but the crowd just not doing anything for him. So he ends up just trying to move away and find him on randomly on his own. However, that actually just gets old very, very quickly. There are brief moments where where Jake like grabs him, he gets a hold of him in a second, then the model just slips away. However, there are a couple points where there's a few body slams, and the end of the match is Jake eventually catches him, spins him around, hits him with DDT for the win. But yeah, it was just a lot of fumbling around blindly in quotations, for 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah, it's an F. There was minimal contact in this match. Post match, Robert tries. Well, he did attack Martel with Damien, and Martel gets away safely. In the locker room, Marlon Maples is in a locker room with the Party Nasty Boys and Jimmy Hart, and the rest of Jimmy Hart's stable, essentially. You can't really make out anything. It's just a bunch of partying and jubilation from the Nasty Boys. Now we get to a very a historic match. It is The Undertaker with Paul Bearer versus Jimmy Snuka. For those of you that don't know, it's the first match in Undertaker's streak. So I may have just given you a spoiler on how the match ends, but I think you already know how it ended. Yeah, especially at Mania, when I think it's common knowledge that the only two people that beat The Undertaker are Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. I'm pretty sure you got that with the hint of his opponent being Jimmy Snuka. The match is pretty much a squash. It's to get Undertaker on the card, get him looking very impressive on the main show. However, the squash matches are starting to take a little bit of their toll. Like on their big show so far, they've actually had two counting this one, essentially.
Right.
But it's historical, so I'll end up giving it an important grade of a C+. Taker wins by the tombstone, if I didn't mention it before.
The side tombstone, so.
Yeah.
Where Jimmy's legs are in between his head.
Yeah.
And his shoulder.
Next up is a video package setting up Warrior and Macho Man's feud. Essentially, Savage won the WWF title when Ultimate Warrior was the champion. They showed a video package, a kind of hilarious one of Sherry turning to beg and plead for Macho Man to get a spot, to get a title shot. And Warrior just goes, "No!" Yeah. And then it's hysterical. Then you see just Macho Man run out, just all of fury, just pushing things over, getting Sherry, shaking her, and running back out. However, Macho does get the last laugh on the night as he does end up costing the Ultimate Warrior the WWF Championship against Sergeant Slaughter. And somewhere down the road, this actually ends up becoming a retirement match. Career versus career. Macho gets the big entrance of being carried out in like that king.
Throne?
Yeah.
The throne.
Yeah, the throne on like the
guy's shoulders.
Exactly.
And he's decked out in white and purple, silver.
Yeah. However, before the match actually does end up starting, Bobby Heenan points out Miss Elizabeth. I didn't notice this at the time, but I noticed it now. Well, the first time I watched it, I didn't notice it then. Bobby Heenan points out Miss Elizabeth, and she is like up the aisle and like another turn, and like 3 rows back. So Bobby Heenan has some pretty good eyesight to see her. But yes, Miss Elizabeth is in the crowd. I guess, sitting by to watch possibly Macho Man's last match in WWF. Even if he loses, not really. This was my favorite match of the night. It was brilliant storytelling, I thought. It's also the first match where you can consider it technically a finisher fest. Because Macho does like 6 elbow drops, and Warrior kicks at it too. Literally, like he does them back to back to back to back to back to back to back, without pinning him. And then on the final one, he does end up pinning him. Warrior kicks at it too. Warrior also does his splash, and Macho kicks out of that. I think that's maybe the only time I've actually ever seen.
Yeah, on the splash. Actually, on the elbow too.
Or where you can sort of see this match a little bit negatively. Warrior literally just keeps on like shoulder blocking him about 3 times. Savage literally bounces out of the ring on each one. On the final one, Warrior drags him back into the ring, puts his foot on his chest, and gets the victory. A little anticlimactic, but I think from what the story they were going for, I kind of get it. They sort of wanted, I guess, an out of nowhere defeat to fuel Sherry's anger, which is about to come. There's, if you're also sensitive to it, there's also a bit of man-on-woman violence here. I believe Warrior does shove Sherry down at one point. And we also got the quintessential Sherry view of the time, where she was literally bent over in front of the camera, and the cameraman would be like all up in it.
You're going to be politically correct, and I'll talk about that in the next statement. Male-woman violence happens, people, isn't it? She deserved it for attacking.
She was a heel.
Calm down. Don't get your panties in a bunch.
However, I think the post-match will probably be a little bit more memorable to fans. Sherry essentially gets angry, and because her meal ticket is down the road, to sort of paraphrase Gorilla here, essentially she just starts kicking Randy Savage in the face. Liz eventually has enough, hops over the guardrail and runs to the ring, grabs Sherry by the hair and tosses her out of the ring. This is after about 2 years after their kayfabe breakup. Which, funny enough, I actually found out a fun fact that Macho and Liz actually had a legal separation right around the time they broke up.
In kayfabe?
In kayfabe,
okay.
Yeah. And it was in order, so fans were going, okay, yeah, fine, they broke up on TV, but they're actually married in real life. No, Macho was keeping kayfabe.
Oh.
Yeah. They actually received a legal separation so that they could keep kayfabe. However, I don't think they would actually end up reconciling that. Whatever. But yeah, Liz walks in the ring. She's trying to help Macho up. Macho doesn't know who's in the ring. Turns around and almost punches Liz. But she sort of backs away and he stops. Just enough. Pretty much it's showing that Liz still has always cared for the Macho Man. Macho walks over and hugs her, so Liz and Macho are back together. We get also quintessential shots of the crowd, which may actually be mine and Joe's favorite part, of just women in the front row crying. There's one in the blue dress who's just crying and just rubbing her eyes. There's one, I believe it actually may be a little kid, not a woman.
Yeah.
Who's decked out in Macho cosplay, and I believe is holding a Hogan action figure, maybe.
Right.
And he's all like, and then there's like another woman who's, yeah. Yeah, just wiggling her jaw. But yeah, it is. But in their defense, it is a very teary-eye moment. The perfect couple is finally back together in wrestling.
How the hell did she do that?
I don't know. She unhooked like both sides of her jaw like a snake, I guess. For the match, I gave it an A+. It was great storytelling. I could see where people kind of had a problem with it, but I think it ends up leading.
Go fuck yourself.
And ends up making what happens after the match even better.
It was one of the first Mania matches, so it's a true Mania match. If you put together the Ultimate Mania card, this would be on it.
Yeah.
Shout out people.
I gave it an A+.
So, wait,
I actually forgot to add some more important parts of the post-match. Liz goes to open the ropes for Macho Man. Macho tells her no, grabs her, moves her aside, and then opens the ropes
for the first time ever.
For the first time ever. That's actually great storytelling right there.
Yeah.
And then Macho, since it's supposed to be his last farewell, he starts going to each corner, posing and celebrating, and then walks back down the aisle with Liz. And funny enough, it's literally the quickest turnaround I've ever seen for a babyface to heel. I mean, because even Brett, he was even going heel by the time he turned on Austin.
Oh, yeah.
But literally, Macho going into the match, and even during the match, was full heel. And then he ends up with Liz, and he's a babyface. Next, we get Regis in the interview set. He's trying to talk to Taker and Paul Bearer. None of them really say anything, but Undertaker is measuring Regis Philbin.
For a coffin.
Probably for a coffin, yes. That's what my best guess was, or maybe a funeral suit. Who knows? They didn't really say anything, and Regis sort of plays off, which is kind of funny. And then we go to the locker room with Alex Trebek. He's with Mr. Fuji and Demolition, smashing Crush. Axe had already left the company, I believe, retired as well. Pretty much they say they're going to beat them. We go back to Regis here with Tenryu and Katal, their opponents for the night. They didn't really say anything much either, because they can't really understand Regis Philbin. Until, I guess, almost someone could call it racially insensitive when he says Toyota or Suzuki, and they go, oh, yeah. It's bad. It's almost full of dad jokes at this point, but it's kind of funny. We go back to the locker room. Alex Trebek talks with Jake the Snake. Pretty much, they talk about Jake Snake, and Alex was scared of it. Then we go back to the announce team, and Heenan said that he set up who the celebrities interview. So essentially, he set up the Snake with Alex Trebek and Undertaker with Regis Philbin. Just Heenan being even more of a heel. Alright, the next match we go to Demolition, Smash and Crush with Mr. Fuji versus Tenryu and Katal. This match was essentially a short match. It's the last. I believe it's the last match ever for a team to be called Demolition. Axe had been gone for a while. Crush would actually take, I believe, about a year leave of absence, and then Smash would end up being Repo Man in a short time. So the ending is kind of obvious. Tenryu and Katal win. Tenryu gets a Nzigiri on Smash, and that's a win in about 4 minutes. The match really wasn't anything much.
This is the last televised match of them.
The last televised match.
WWE. Their last match will be against the Hart Foundation at a house show a month later. About 2 months later. May 2nd, I don't know.
Kind of dead. To me, it was a huge waste of time, actually. And it is gradable. So, F. Then we go to the interview with Gene, who interviews Big Big Boss Man. Essentially, it's the same thing. He's going to claim the Intercontinental title. Since Heenan's guy Perfect is in the next match, Lord Alfred Hayes takes over the commentary duties. We get the next match, Perfect, with Bobby Heenan versus Big Boss Man. Surprisingly good match.
Surprisingly, Mr. Perfect had a good match.
Well, I'm more or less saying this because of Big Boss Man.
Gotcha.
I've never been the biggest Big Boss Man fan, but here he actually looked in pretty good shape. Probably one of the better physically. Yeah. I'm trying to find the word to say.
He looked better physically than he normally did.
Yeah, exactly. The interesting thing to note here is that Andre tries to get some revenge on Heenan here.
Right.
He comes out, and after last year's where Heenan pretty much blamed him for losing the tag titles, he comes out to help Big Boss Man. He actually hits Mr. Perfect with the Intercontinental title, which for some reason he grabbed. It's nice to see Andre here, but you can honestly tell his level of physicality has drastically declined. Even from like WrestleMania 3, he barely made it down the aisle. It looked like to me.
Oh
yeah. Off the belt shot, Bossman goes for the pin, but Perfect does kick out. But Haku and Barbarian make the save for the DQ win of Big Boss Man. Essentially, it was to give Big Boss Man a win on WrestleMania, but not gain the Intercontinental title, keep it on Perfect. Yeah, it was a good match. The ending was kind of weak, but still, it had a pretty good moments. It was nice seeing Andre again, and the match itself was pretty solid. I ended up giving the match a C. Up next is Earthquake and Jimmy Hart versus Greg Valentine. There's really not much to say more here besides Earthquake destroys Jimmy Valentine. Or Jimmy Valentine. Greg Valentine. I don't know where Jimmy Valentine came from. I must have been thinking of Jimmy Valen, whose name was mentioned today, but whatever. Essentially, it's not long at all. Earthquake gets the win. But these squash matches are really starting to pile up and get very annoying, and there's still more to come. Yeah, this is a 14-match card, and it felt almost like half of them were squash matches. Up next is LOD versus the Power of Glory. Literally, you can load this into the same thing I just said earlier. It was a dominant one from LOD. Hercules takes the Doomsday Device, which I believe he was actually scared to take. Just because he got injured on this one. But yeah, it was a squash match to make LOD look dominant. But however, it's still WrestleMania and it's a squash match. Up next, we get Virgil versus $1 Million Man. Virgil has Roddy Piper in his corner. Essentially, Virgil got tired of $1 Million Man's crap, and essentially got tired and decided his money wasn't good enough, and he rebelled on $1 Million Man by hitting with the $1 Million Championship. And Roddy Piper takes over sort of a life coach stance. However, at some point beforehand, I'm not sure if this is actual kayfabe injury or not, but Roddy Piper has a broken leg for some reason.
Okay.
Supposedly from a motorcycle accident. Could be real, could be kayfabe. I'm actually not entirely sure. It's actually weird to say this. It's kind of long for the match that I expected this match to be. It's not long at all, it's 7 minutes, but it kind of felt like they were trying to do more with it than they should. It was okay for what it was, but I think it ran on too long for what it was supposed to be. I think that this one probably should have been one of the shorter matches.
7:41 at the time.
Yeah, Virgil. I mean, he's not an in-ring general.
What?
I know, shocker to many people.
He's a general in New York City somewhere.
Exactly. You can find him at New York subway stop near you, with his tablecloth of Wrestling Superstar Virgil. But essentially, Piper gets into it with $1 Million Man. Piper dumps $1 Million Man over the top of the crotch. Piper and $1 Million Man go back and forth. DiBiase can't make it back to the ring by the count of 10, so Virgil wins by DQ.
How much is the battle?
DiBiase puts Virgil in the $1 Million Dream. Piper got into the ring with his crutch, and Sensational Sherry makes the save and joins DiBiase. Virgil recovers and then runs off DiBiase and Sherry. Virgil tells Piper to get up. It's kind of an odd choice and placement for an inspirational stand-up Piper. You can do it. However, Virgil can probably make a good faith healer at this point. But yeah, it was boring for what it was. I think they tried to do a little too much with it. However, I think they protected Virgil well enough to where it wasn't a completely terrible thing. So I ended up giving it a C-.
I think the ending is stupid as a feud. Virgil should probably gone and a quick roll when I'm really not made shocked him.
Yeah.
I look at the Finn win.
Probably, yeah. However, I don't think it's the end of the feud, though.
It's not?
No, because doesn't Virgil win the $1 Million title?
Oh, is that the champion?
No.
Oh, my bad.
The next match,
It's a squash.
yeah, essentially a squash. It comes right after a video package for Slaughter and Hogan. I think they're a match early, but whatever. But it's the Mountie with Jimmy Hart, who's had a very busy night, and Tito Santana.
That's their match.
Yeah, the match doesn't really go a minute. Tito Santana gets shocked with the cattle prod, and Mountie picks up a win.
Jimmy Hart's fourth match.
Essentially a dud, but it's not really gradable. But that is essentially 1,
2. Undertaker.
2,
Kyoto. Or Cattell.
3,
Earthquake.
4,
Legion Doom.
5, 6. Like 6 matches.
A 14.
Of 14 that were a squash
That's
match.
not bad.
I can see that as a major flaw of the pay-per-view, especially at WrestleMania.
Well, this is so 80s.
However, we get to it. The main event of the night for the WWF Championship: Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter.
Somebody tell me why they made this match 20 minutes.
I honestly don't know. And the biggest tragedy of Donald Trump's presidency is the fact that he let Hogan go 2-on-1 against Iraqi sympathizers to recapture the WWF Championship. Thanks, Trump. This is his biggest mistake, not detaining little kids, or not getting some tact. It's this. He let Hulk Hogan as the lone American hero against Sergeant Slaughter and General Adnan.
For a release from YouTube, like Big Cash for being Trump. For kissing or assaulting Trump.
Yes.
We don't know. Let's continue, because Cash is very open about that too.
Yes. Alright, essentially this match goes on way too long. It was just a lot of rest holds from Slaughter, who at this point is far past his prime. And at this point in this era, I don't think he would be the person I would put in a main event match at WrestleMania.
I will pick
However, his original idea was supposed to be that Tugboat was supposed to be the Iraqi sympathizer if they couldn't get slaughtered. And his name was going to be
Shock myself.
Sheik Tugboat.
So they went with the better option?
Yes. They did go with the better option. The better match probably would have been the other way, but they went with the better option. But yeah, this match goes on way too long. Adnan gets someone involved in it almost very minimally though, but most of it is Slaughter doing a rest hold. Hogan comes back, big boot, body slam, run the ropes, leg drop. 1, 2, 3. The official timing for the match would be
2026.
2026.
Which is just 22 seconds less than Ultimate Warrior Ring Savage.
That match deserved it. This one didn't. However, I guess I did see somewhat improvement and the point of it. However, the grade I'm going to give it is incredibly low for what you should get out of a Mania main event. I'm giving it a C-. We end the show with Hogan pretty much celebrating as our American hero while President Trump sits there. Overall C. Not a bad Mania. There are definite structural flaws with this pay-per-view though. You had 6 squash matches on your biggest show of the year. And the main event, very slow-paced, and essentially Hogan wins. I don't think anyone actually had the ending in doubt in there.
Oh no.
But for the feud, I guess it was good for the time. I actually didn't have a problem with it playing off of war, because that's literally what wrestling has always done. You can go back in history and look at characters that were Nazis or Japanese right at the time of World War II, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me. But yeah, this pay-per-view, I think it gave you enough strong moments for it to be remembered. But there are structural flaws in the pay-per-view where it could be a little bit of a chore to get through. So I give it a C.
Okay. This is your first kind of title right
Yes.
now. We'll put the next pay-per-view for next Friday's.
Yes.
Retro review.
Yes.
I want to put this on pause because we're running out of time, so I just played a match. Okay, our pay-per-view for next week is WWE Judgment Day 2002.
Or Jericho meets his Judgment Day.
According to Randomizer. So
Yes.
there you go. We all time run out of card. Oh, it's the Hell in a Cell match towards Jericho. Here's here.
Sorry for being long-winded.